How's it going, everyone? As many of you know, Mariah and I have finished our through hike of the Pacific Crest Trail, and we're just here settling back into the real world. But today I want to talk about the cost of through hiking in 2022. I think that old golden rule of saying save up $1,000 a month still is being thrown around in the community, and I think it's a little outdated. So hopefully this video will serve as a tool for those planning a long distance through hike and just help you know what to expect and be better planned. So let's get into it. All right, so luckily Mariah and I did log every single dollar that we spent on the Pacific Crest Trail, and we organized it by what we were spending it on. We did that just because, well, exactly for this reason. We thought it'd be really cool to look back on it, see where we could have saved, maybe where we would have wanted to spend some more money. And it also just acted as a budget to kind of keep us on pace and make sure we weren't spending too much money. So we spent the month of March, April, May, June, July, and part of August on the trail. So we're going to be looking at it on a month-to-month basis. And what's cool about that is we can kind of go through it and see why we were spending money on specific things in relation to where we were on the trail and maybe why we were spending more money on those things. So this kind of acts as a specific guide for the Pacific Crest Trail. It's probably a good general rule of thumb for the other long distance trails, but it'll definitely be pretty specific to the money that you're going to be spending on the Pacific Crest Trail. I'd also like to add that we did do this trail as a couple, so the expenses are all put together into one pool essentially. It's worth mentioning that it's probably slightly cheaper to do it as a couple because you're sharing hotels more, you're sharing some of your stuff like the cooking setup, fuel, food, we kind of share things. So I'm guessing that it is a little bit cheaper for two people to do it when they're together. But if you take our total number at the end and divide it by two, it might give you a good basis for what it'll cost for a person by themselves to do the trail. Okay guys, so this is kind of how I organized it. You'll see that the top category here is going to be the money that we spent on resupply. Below that is the money that we spent on food in town, so restaurants, all that stuff. The next one, hotels, lodging, that includes campgrounds, hostels, all that stuff. Gear, it's pretty obvious. Donations, that was kind of an unexpected one that I figured I'd throw in here. A lot of the trail angels out there are doing really hard work on the PCT, doing the water caches, stuff like that. Definitely plan on having some money in the donations budget just because people are going to be out there helping you out and it's costing them a lot of money to do it. So don't be that guy that's not at least pitching in when they're asking for donations. Post office, that's another one I didn't expect to spend the amount of money that we spent on. Lots of mailing things around, specifically in the northern parts of the trail. We'll go over that. And of course, whiskey. That is kind of a interesting trend that we'll see along the way. What I did not include in this, because it's not really relevant to the average through hiker, one is the money that I put towards making these videos, as several subscriptions, video editing, software, stuff like that. Mariah and I both also had to buy new phones on the trail. That's not included in this. And I also did not include transportation to and from the trail. So this is everything that we spent from leaving the Mexican border to arriving at the Canadian border. So as some of you guys know, we did start the trail in early March, which is a really early start date. But in retrospect, maybe that's the only way to do it these days. So we're going to start there in March and start making our way through it all. Say hi to Arlo. Hey, buddy. All right, here we are in March. Looks like we made it from the Mexican border to Wrightwood, which is right around mile 400, I want to say. Don't remember exactly. Let's start with resupply. For this section, we did start with the resupply, so we started at the Mexican border with a 4-day resupply to Julian, so you can take that away. We're looking at right around $700 for the first month, so $350 a piece for the first month. Not terrible at all. Pretty average, what's to be expected. Town food, $630. These two numbers always seem to be pretty close together. Town food's one of those things that you think you can avoid it, but you crave it and you need it. So hotels and lodging in March, we spent $550 more or less. The beginning of this trail, we were really good about looking for trail angels in towns, contacting them, trying to find a place to stay so we weren't spending a ton of money on hotels. The PCT isn't set up quite like the AT where you're in a hostel all the time. You are going to be spending money on Airbnbs and hotels if you want to spend nights indoors and shower. Gear, $273. This one's not terrible. I believe the next month we're going to be going up a lot, and we'll talk about why. Donations. The donations were definitely more in the south. One, because, like I said, we were staying at Trail Angels' houses, so we were donating to them, even if they weren't asking for it. We were trying to leave some money behind for them. And also the water caches in the desert. Post office, not bad here, $31. Looks like we're probably just sending things that we don't need home at this point. And whiskey, $116. That's a lot. And I blame this on our friend Paul and myself. I can't take no blame. We like to have whiskey on the trail, so Paul and I were trading off every time each of us were buying a bottle of whiskey, and we were enjoying that on the trail. You'll see this dwindle as we stopped spending time with Paul, unfortunately. And then at the very end of the trail, we meet up with Paul again, and I start spending money on whiskey. So the total for March looks like $2,391. Really not bad at all. We're looking at just $1,200 a person. Like I said, that number might be low because we are a couple and we're sharing things, but really not bad. So let's move on to the next month. All right, so here we are in April. This is everything from Wrightwood to Bishop. So this section's interesting because we are now moving into the Sierra, and that'll affect some things down here. So resupply, $658, similar to the month prior. Town food, $712, also relatively similar. Like I said, these two numbers tend to be similar. Hotels and lodging, $388. How does that compare? Definitely less. Like I said, we're still in that zone where we're kind of staying at Trail Angels' houses and really limiting the money we're spending on hotels. Now, this is a really large number, and that is because starting the trail so early and entering the Sierra in April, it's going to be freezing out there. And we weren't, I don't want to say we were completely underprepared, but we had to make a lot of adjustments. Having a cold weather setup is really, really important if you're going to be starting the trail in March and entering the Sierra that early. Mariah had to buy a new sleeping bag. I had to buy a new sleeping pad or two, or just warm stuff. So we went a little crazy, but we had to. Our first section in the Sierra was pretty cold, as were many nights in the desert. So if you save up beforehand and have your cold stuff on hand at home or whatever and can have it shipped out to you, you might be able to save a lot of money here. Donations, a little less here, just water caches probably. Post office, $57. That's probably us sending things home still, maybe picking up packages at Kennedy Meadow South, stuff like that. And $51 on whiskey, still the same thing, just Paul and I are packing out whiskey every section and enjoying that. So we're at $3,000 here, mostly because of the big gear spending. So about $700 or $600 more here. So not a terrible month, but you know, the gear thing was a big hit for sure. All right, it's May now. Looks like in May we made it from Bishop all the way to Bernie up in Northern California. Our resupply looks like we spent $996. That sounds about right. It's a fair amount more, and I'd say that's mostly because you're kind of in really touristy zones in this section. You're in Lake Tahoe and stuff, and Truckee and all that stuff. So you're just, the normal groceries are spending more at this, or costing more at this point, as is town food. Now we have a big number here at hotels and lodging. This is because, and another reason why entering the Sierra so early can be really difficult. We had to spend a lot of time in hotels and Airbnbs. When we got to Mammoth, we actually triple zeroed. We spent 3 days in an Airbnb. Luckily, we were with two other couples, our friends Julia, Corey, and Tom and Kate. So we kind of held up there for 3 days. That cost a fair amount of money. And you just need a break when you're moving through the Sierra. You spend 6 days out, you're really hungry, you're really cold, you're just in the snow. You get to town, you don't want to leave right away. So And again, just being in these touristy towns, you're going to spend a lot. And there's no real hostels or anything like that other than in Bishop, but that was completely sold out. So fair amount of money here. Gear, we're probably still, just upgrading our kits a little bit to stay warm. Also, in this gear price, you'll probably see it be at least $300 to $400 every month, because every month we are buying a new pair of shoes. Donations, that's down to zero, probably because we're no longer staying at Trail Angel houses. We're staying in these Airbnbs and stuff. Post office, not sending a lot home. And we're not with Paul anymore, so we're not buying whiskey. So no money in whiskey here. Spending a lot of time in Airbnbs with our new friends here. So $3,500, mostly because of these top three numbers, obviously. So $500 more than the last month. This is, I want to say, the most expensive month, and it makes sense just because of the region we're in. All right, so we are in June now, leaving Northern California and making it up to the first section through Oregon. So resupply for this section, $600, so less than the last month, but similar to the first two because we're not in these super touristy areas anymore. This is also, we did have to, once we entered Oregon, we sent our packages ahead for Oregon. So from Ashland, we sent stuff ahead. Town food, $860. Definitely spending more in this department now. We're with our new friends, and we're really kind of just enjoying our time out there. We were really making use of our town time, enjoying it, going out to eat. You can see another big number down here in the hotels and lodging. That's just everywhere out there. I mean, the hotels are not cheap, and there's a huge lack of towns with campgrounds in them. If there was a campground, we'd try to stay there if we could get a shower and laundry. But like I said, it's tough. You're going to end up in hotels. You're going to have to plan on bringing plenty of money for that stuff. And we were even splitting places when we could, looking for those Airbnbs with the other couples we were with, which was really nice, but still just a huge number. Gear, this looks like probably just one pair of shoes or something. Not much here. Donations still at zero. Post office, this number is going to keep being high for the next couple sections here because, like I said, in Oregon and Washington, you kind of go grocery shopping at the beginning of the state and send everything ahead because all of your stops are essentially just in little towns that you can't really resupply well, or you're going to spend a fortune doing it. Sometimes you're just at a gas station. So we shipped a bunch of stuff ahead, so you'll see this cost keep going up. Whiskey is at zero. Looks like in June we spent $2,800, which, let's see, that's lower than that, more expensive than the first month. So, pretty average number here for this month. All right, it's July now. So July's kind of a strange month. You'll see that this number seems really low. That's because we spent 10 days on the Oregon Coast Trail, and I did not include any of the costs of that on there. So, this is only about 20 days that we spent of July on the trail. So it's a little lower. I just didn't want to include the cost of another trail. So resupply back to those, that average number from earlier on in the trip. $600 to $700 seems to be a pretty good average for a month of food for two people. Town food, this is going to go down. Everything's going to go down for the remainder of the trail because you're not in towns at all. In Washington, you're doing really long stretches without any towns. And it's summer now, so we're not feeling the need to stay in town for very long. So these numbers are going down. As I mentioned earlier, sometimes, especially in Washington, you're not really in a town. You kind of just pop out onto a road crossing and you might be at a gas station, something like that. So we didn't spend a whole lot of money here, mostly campgrounds. I think this includes the one hotel that we got in Leavenworth, maybe. So not a lot here. Gear, $406. So probably 2 pairs of shoes, and I think I had to get another sleeping pad, something like that. Post office is big because we sent everything ahead for all of Washington, and no money on whiskey again. So doing pretty good. $2,000 a month. That's $1,000 a piece. Like I said, it's only for 20 days on the trail though. So really not bad here. Let's see how the end of the trail goes. All right, so we're in August now, and this is only 10 days because we finished on August 9th, but then had to hike backwards. So, so these numbers don't really carry a lot of weight. It's kind of hard to tell because it's just 10 days, but we're spending a lot on town food for just 10 days. We're in celebration mode now. Hotels and lodging, not bad. This is, this one's actually from Leavenworth. This was the one hotel in Leavenworth, and then some camping or something. I think this is my last pair of shoes or Mariah's. Don't remember. A big donation you'll see here, though. We spent, before going to finish the trail, we spent, I think, 2 days at the Lion's Den Hiker Haven right there in Mazama at the end of the trail. She's doing an amazing thing there. It was it was the only hiker hostel we stayed at for the whole thing, and it was just great. She let us stay there. She let us use her car. She brought us all over the place. So I spent 2 days there before finishing, and then when we came back, we spent another day there. So we threw her $180. It was amazing, and it was all donation based. So post office, $20. Don't really remember what that's from. Maybe, I think it was probably from picking up a package or 2 packages once we got to Mazama, things that we had sent ahead. And then a $45 bottle of whiskey because we finally, after, 2 months, we saw Paul. Again, we got to reunite with our friends just after they had finished. It was really cool to see them. So we got to celebrate with that. So a total of around $1,100. So that's to the end of the trail. After this, we'll look at the final numbers and kind of just reflect on what kind of budget we're looking at. All right, guys. So here are the totals for the whole trail. Even have a little pie chart for those of you that like those. So on our resupply, $3,700. Town food, $4,000. Like I said, these numbers, plan on them being similar, unless you have really good self-control and don't get a lot of town food. This one also very similar, $3,600 in hotels and lodging, a lot of money. $2,500 is a big one that you can save on, like I said, if you are more prepared in the sense that you have a warm weather kit and a cold weather kit already that you've purchased, and you can kind of ship those to and from yourself as you need them. We had to adjust a lot. Do expect to buy 5 to 6 pairs of shoes though. So hopefully that number can be minimized. Donations, $285. Honestly, I feel like it should be more. People were amazing out there, and so many people just didn't ask for money and wouldn't even accept it. So, that's something to definitely think about and have in your budget, because people are doing amazing things out there, and it's nice to be able to donate to them. Post office, $400. That's a fair amount of money. That's a number that I didn't really even plan on. So think about shipping things in the northern regions of the trail. You're going to be shipping things around, so that's definitely something to work into your budget. And whiskey, $212. Easy to avoid, but I don't regret it one bit. We had good times out there, and it was amazing. So we have our grand total right around $15,000 for the two of us. So think $7,500 a person. And like I said, since we're a couple, it's a little cheaper. So, my personal recommendation would be to save about $8,000 to hike the Pacific Crest Trail on your own. That's not perfect. You might be able to do it more minimalist than we did. You might go crazier than we did. I think we were right in the middle ground. I wouldn't change anything about the way that we did it. We spent, I think we took 14 zeros on the whole trail. So we did take time off and we enjoyed it. But we also, we kept moving. We did the whole trail in 5 months. So it's, it was a perfect balance. I don't regret any of it. So yeah, in reflection of all of this, I think there's some trends to look out for. The beginning of the trail, gear adjustments, that's going to cost a fair amount of money. The middle of the trail, you're in the touristy zones, you're going to be spending money on lodging, stuff like that. And then in the later half of the trail, you're going to be moving quickly and you're not going to be in towns at all. So you can kind of plan on your last month or two being significantly cheaper. You're much more efficient machine out there. You're moving quickly, you're not spending time in towns, and you're just looking to finish. So I'd say your first 3 months are going to cost the most, and then you can kind of speed up and keep things pretty minimal towards the end. So yeah, it's a large number for sure. I think in the past people have said $5,000 to $6,000, and I'm very comfortable saying that I would recommend bringing about $8,000 for yourself for a thru hike. All right, guys. Well, that's it. I hope this served as a good tool for everybody or anybody that was just curious about how much it costs to hike the Pacific Crest Trail. There's one more number I want to share with you guys because a lot of people have asked, and I'm comfortable to share it. We did plan based off of everybody saying like $1,000 to $1,200 a person to go through hiking, and that's kind of what we had saved up. And as you saw, we spent $15,000 for the two of us to do it. But I want to share with you the number that we were able to generate through making these videos for you guys, and just thank you guys for watching all of these videos. Also, people that have just donated to us, just super kind and just amazing stuff. So I just added it all up, and from the time we started the trail until the time that we got home, we generated $6,500 in YouTube revenue, and like I said, some donations from some really kind people out there. So thank you so much. Hopefully we can keep this going, and you guys are the reason that we were able to complete the thru hike. Like I said, we were budgeted to spend a lot less money than we did, and we were able to finish because of all of you guys watching. So thanks so much, and we'll see you again out there somewhere.